Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Our Journey podcast. This is Our Journey from me to you. My name is Victoria. I will be your host of the podcast. And y'all, let's jump right into it. So today we're going to be talking about transitions, specifically transitions that the Lord has called you to. I got my notebook here, so if you see me looking down, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to get my notes together. But yeah, that's what today's episode is going to be about, is transition. I have a couple definitions. So I have the Google definition, which is undergoing a process or period of transition. Okay. And then I have a biblical definition, which is the process or period of change often orchestrated by God, where individuals, groups, or nations move from one state or condition to another. And I know for me, the first person I think of in the Bible is Abraham, where he had to leave his father and mother and go to the land that the Lord had promised him, which is Canaan. I don't know about anybody else, but I have my own Abraham story. I have my own story of leaving my family, leaving what I knew, what I thought I knew, and moving to a land that I had never known, but the Lord told me to go. So my story is I was living in Indiana, 2023, excuse me. I was living in Indiana in 2023. 2022, me and my boyfriend had broken up. The Lord broke us up. That's a whole nother story. We'll get into that a different day. Got broken up with my then boyfriend. I was working at a job, Amazon. I hated it. But in all that, I had started really walking with the Lord, really seeking him for myself, not seeking him as my mother's God, but really seeking him and knowing him for myself, like truly. Like, I grew up in church. I've always known the Lord. He spoke to me as a child. I would have dreams, all the things, but I don't want to say, but my experience, I went out in the world, I did what I wanted to do, but I was like, Lord, I'm ready to come back to the heart of worship. And so 2022, I quit my job at Amazon because I heard the Lord tell me to quit my job. I know you're probably like, what? You did what? Yes. I quit my job because the Lord told me to. And baby, I was ready to go. I hated working at Amazon, personally. That's just me. I hated it. I hated working at Amazon with a passion. So the Lord said, quit your job. I said, duh, bet. Bye. You ain't gonna tell me again, Lord. So I quit my job. January, jobless. I'm like, all right, Lord, you're gonna do it. Ooh, I'm believing in big faith. They're gonna do the next thing. Nothing. I did not have no job for 3 months. But the Lord was working on my heart. He was working on my heart. He was getting rid of them idols that I had. And he was like, it's just me now. It's just me. It's me and you. We gonna work on this relationship. And baby, we worked on that relationship. Now in January, same month, I was watching a church service, and I heard the Lord so clearly. I remember I was in my apartment, I was watching TV, I was standing up, and the Lord was like, you're gonna move to South Carolina. I'm like, excuse me, who? He's like, you're gonna move to South Carolina. I'm like, what are we talking about? Not only am I gonna move to South Carolina, I'm gonna work at a church. I'm like, what? But that's what he said. I'm like, okay, Lord, fine. I look up the church and I'm like, okay, let's see if they got any jobs hiring. All them jobs require a degree. I'm like, Lord, I don't know if you remember. I know you don't forget, but I didn't finish college, so I don't have a degree. I can't do this stuff. And the Lord was like, nah, you gonna move down to South Carolina and then you're gonna work at this church. I was like, okay, sure. So I'm like, partially like, okay, God, that don't make no sense, but also, what do I have to lose? Nothing. I don't have a job. I don't have a job here, so I have no ties. So come March, me and my parents, we packed me up from my apartment, moved me back to St. Louis, because that's where I'm from. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. So it moved me back to St. Louis, Missouri. I stayed in St. Louis for a couple of months just to kind of get myself together. get in one with the Lord. Like, Lord, is this really what you said? It's like, did I hear you correctly? He's like, yep. Pack up the car. So July 15th, I moved to South Carolina. Yes, you heard right. I moved to South Carolina on a word from the Lord because he told me to. And I said, okay, sure, why not? So I moved. I started working at the church. It was great. I was like, oh shit, the Lord said what he was gonna do. And it was a lot. I was doing a lot of things I had never done. I had never been an administrative assistant. I had never been an office assistant before. I was teaching babies, teaching 2 and 3-year-olds who I love dearly. I was doing a lot of stuff, a lot of firsts, a lot of transition, a lot of change. I didn't have my own place at the time. I was living with people from the church who were kind enough to open up their homes to me. A lot was happening, and I'm just like, Lord, do I still hear you? Like, are you here? Did you leave me? Like, your word says you'll never leave nor forsake me, but where you at, Jesus? Because it's getting hard out here, and this is not what you promised me. But the Lord came through, and the Lord was faithful. And in 2024, the Lord was like, all right, it's time for you to start doing what I called you to do. I'm like, working at the church ain't what you called me to do? Like, yes, that's what I called you to. And it's time to start walking into purpose. It's time to start working into that calling that I called you to. Like, oh, okay, what does that look like? Shoot, it's 2025. The department I was working for at the church was no longer needed. So the Lord was like, it's time. Yeah, you don't have no excuses now. Now it's time to do what I called you to. Insert the podcast. The Lord called me to do a podcast. If you watch the intro video, I spoke about it. The Lord called me to do a podcast. I'm just like, oh, okay. So that's a lot of transition in what, it's been 2.5, 3 years. That's a lot. I moved. I worked at a church. Never worked in a church before. I did a whole bunch of jobs I had never done before. I got into my apartment. That's where we are currently. I moved into my apartment. And now I'm doing a podcast. That's a lot of change in transition for one person. It was a lot, but the Lord is faithful. The Lord always came through. The Lord always provided any and everything, because that's who he is. He's Jireh. So I want to also talk about Abraham's story. Abraham moved from his father and mother. But the beauty about Abraham's story is he never questioned God. I ain't gonna lie, I questioned God a little bit. But he didn't question the Lord. He didn't question, like, God, why? Why are you doing this to me, Lord? No, he was like, I am your humble servant. Whatever you need, I'm here, Lord. I'm paraphrasing, but Abraham didn't put up no fight. He was not huffing and puffing. He wasn't whining. He said, yes, Lord, whatever you want to do, however you want to do it, I am here. Use me. That's encouragement to me. I'm trying. I'm still growing. But just being able to say, yes, Lord, whatever you need, your will, your way. Let's go. I'm getting to that point. There are moments where I'm just like, all right, God, bet, let's do this thing. And then there are other moments I'm just like, you sure? You positive? Can you confirm for me? 5 different ways and then backwards, the same 5 ways? Cool. And sometimes he confirms it. Sometimes he's like, you heard what I said. Do what I said. I'm not gonna keep confirming it. But that's just me. That's me in a blood relationship. He knows his child, so he talks to me accordingly. But yeah. And so in the transition, even in my, Lord, are you sure? Even in my doubts, because let's be honest, I doubted God several times and it was hard. It was hard. All that transition, not knowing what I was doing in the process, it was hard. But I always knew my why. Even in the doubts, I always knew my why. I didn't know how, didn't know when, didn't know what, didn't know where. but I knew my why. And even in not knowing the why of that current situation, I knew my ultimate why. The Lord brought me here. The Lord said I would be here. He called me here. So clearly I'm supposed to be here for some reason. So I've always known my why. And I just want to encourage you, know your why. Why are you doing this? Are you doing it because the Lord called you to do it? Or are you doing it because you want to? Because it feels good? Because it was your idea? Because your idea and God's idea, they may not always be the same thing. So get clarification. This is my little 2 cents. But yes, and in my why, I felt like Peter. Some of y'all may know Peter. Peter's in the Bible, one of the 12 disciples, walked with Jesus, followed Jesus while Jesus was on this earth teaching. Peter doubted God. And I felt like Peter. Like in Matthew, there's this parable where Peter is walking on water. The Lord was walking on water to them. Peter's like, Lord, is that you? Jesus was like, yes, it's me, Peter. He's like, Lord, if it's you, tell me to come to you. The Lord was like, yes, come. Peter jumped off that boat, got on that water, and started walking. He looked to the left, he saw them waves. He looked to the right, he saw a whale. He started sinking. Okay, that was a bit dramatic. There probably wasn't a whale, but it does say in the Bible that he looked, saw how big the waves were, and he got nervous, he got scared, and he started to sink. And he was like, Lord, save me. Obviously the Lord saved him. They got in the boat, and he was like, why do you have such little faith? That has been my life, walking on water. Ever since I moved, not even ever since I moved to South Carolina, quitting my job it's been a consistent walking on water. Some of y'all may know, some of you may not, but there is a pastor / podcaster / influencer, Tim Ross, and in his earlier episodes of his podcast called The Basement, he would always talk about he's walking on water. He's doing something he's never done before, something he didn't think he would ever do. But there he was, having a podcast because the Lord told him to. Here I am, having a podcast because the Lord told me to. The Lord funny. I don't know if y'all know this, but the Lord got sense of humor. He be joking. And sometimes it'll be funny, sometimes it don't. But anyways, another transition that I have been going through, present day, currently, is my name. And I know some of y'all like, what are you talking about? You said your name is Victoria. What else is there? My name is Victoria. That's my full name. However, my nickname since a kid has been Tori, which, you know, is half of Victoria. It makes sense to cut it short but that's what I was going by. Like, I had completely stopped going by Victoria, and I just was going by Tori. And there was a moment in my life where I was like, I want to start going by Victoria. I tried. I messed up, told somebody my name was Tori, and then everyone else started calling me Tori. I was like, well, that didn't work. But last year, 2024, fourth quarter, I was talking with the Lord, having my quiet time with him, and he was like, you want me to fulfill all these promises that I've given you. You want me to do all these things, but you're not even going by the name that I called you. When I tell you, after he said that, I was like, ouch, like what? You ain't have to come for me like that. But it was a gentle rebuke, but I needed it because I was going by Tori. I wasn't going by my full name. And what he said to me was, how can you experience the fullness of who you are? Like, you keep asking for it. You want the power, the boldness, like you want to be fully authentically you want to be that full version of yourself, but you're not even going by your full name. Like, you're going by a nickname that was given to you. You're not going by what I called you. And how can you experience the things that I've called you to if you're not even going by the name that I called you? I said, yes, Lord. Yes, sir. I will. Look, immediately, instantly, I started telling my people around me, I was like, y'all, the Lord told me to start going by Victoria. I'm going by Victoria. I'm not Tori no more. I am Victoria. Now, obviously, it's a transition for everybody. So there were some who still call me Tori, but some call me Victoria. But when I introduce myself now, it's Victoria. So I can experience the fullness of who He created and called me to be, you know? But you know who else has a story like that? Abraham. Abraham also got his name changed. Now, it wasn't as drastic. He went from Abram to Abraham. I'm going back to my full name that I was named at birth. But similar story. Lord called him Abraham. Abram from Abraham. Crazy work. And if you want to read about it, it's in Genesis 17. It's a great story to read, just on how the Lord is very specific in His calling for you. He's very detailed in what He has you, who He's called you to be, what He has for you. Everything is very specific with the Lord. He doesn't do things by accident or by, oh, this works. Like, He's not a happenstance God. He's very specific. He's very detailed. So when He told Abram, nah, you Abraham from now on, it's because Abraham was connected to his destiny. Abraham would be the name that his descendants know. Like, you are like the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We don't say the God of Abram. We say the God of Abraham. Because Abraham was connected to his destiny, to his calling, to his purpose. So I would just encourage you, if the Lord, not saying the Lord changed your name, but if the Lord is like, I called you to be this, why are you doing this? I didn't call you to that. It's because that thing that He's called you to is connected to your destiny, to your purpose, to the way He intended your life to be. Now, of course, we have free will. We have choice. But why wouldn't we want to do it His way? Like, He knows the end from the beginning. Why wouldn't we want the God who is Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end? Why wouldn't we want to do it His way when His way is ultimately better? Because His ways are not our ways. His thoughts are not His thoughts. His ways are higher and better than what we can ever think or imagine. So I'm not going to speak for nobody else, but I know for me, I'm going to go God's way. I'm going to see what He's talking about. Because I tried it my way. Failed. Miserably. Hated it. Wasn't that great. God's way, it's hard. Sometimes I don't want to do it. But His way is ultimately better. So why not do it His way? You know? So in that, there are some scriptures that I personally go to often that just encourage me when I'm just like, oof, this is hard. It's hard out here, God. It's hard out here. There's some scriptures that I go to that I'm going to read. So there is Deuteronomy 31:6 in the New Living Translation. And then I also like Joshua 1:6 and 7 in the Christian Standard Version. So they're going to be on the screen, but I'm going to read Deuteronomy 31:6 now. So be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid and do not panic before them. For the Lord your God will personally go ahead of you. He will neither leave you nor abandon you. So this is Moses. Moses is talking to the Israelites about how they're about to take the land of Canaan. You remember earlier, I was talking about Abraham. He left his father and mother to go to Canaan. They're finally being able to go into Canaan. But Canaan is ran by the Canaan is ran by the Canaanites, So Moses is like, all right, y'all, it's time to strap up. We about to go get our land that the Lord promised us and promised our descendants and promised our ancestors. We about to go. But before we go, here's some encouragement from the Lord. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. So that's something that I'll hold dear to my heart anytime I need encouragement about this walk, this transition that I've been going through. Just being a Christian in itself, you need encouragement, and you need those go-to scriptures that remind you of why you're following in God's path. He never said it would be easy, but it will always be worth it. So my other scripture is Joshua 1:6 and 7. This is God talking to Joshua about how they're about to go into the land of Canaan. Moses has died, and Joshua's like, okay, all right. And God is like, all right, Joshua, it's time for you to step up. It's time for you to lead these people. And so Joshua 1:6-7 says, be strong and courageous. There's that be strong and courageous again. Be strong and courageous, for you are the one who will lead these people to possess all the land I swore to their ancestors I would give them. Be strong and very courageous. Be careful to obey all the instructions Moses gave you. Do not deviate from them, turning either to the left or to the right. Then you will be successful in everything that you do. I love Joshua 1:6-7. Not deviating from the instructions, I would say, is my challenge, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm not perfect. I'm struggling. I'm an overcoming perfectionist here. I'm gonna be honest. I'm an overcoming perfectionist. So control, I like to know every little detail. I like it to be specific, like this way. Oh, I saw it this way in my head. It has to be exactly like this. And the Lord is like, no. No. Psalms 119 says, perfectionism has its limits, but my commands are limitless. God's commands are limitless, but perfectionism, there's a chance you're gonna fail every single time. So I have to learn, stop trying to be a perfectionist. It's not gonna work out in your favor. It's just not. But obeying the Lord's commands, even though it's hard, and it's easier to be disobedient. Like, I'm not even gonna lie to you. It's easier to be disobedient because you're gratifying your flesh. But when you obey the Lord's commands, when you follow his instructions, when you do what he says, it just all works out. And there's peace with it. When you're trying to be a perfectionism, there's chaos going through your mind. Your mind's going a mile a minute. It's a lot happening. But when you do it God's way, when you follow his commands, when you follow his instructions, there's a peace that surpasses all understanding, as the Bible calls it. There's a peace that you can't get when you do it your way. And you may do it your way, and it may work for a little while, but eventually it starts to crumble because your foundation is based on yourself. It's not based on the Lord. It's not grounded in the Lord and what he said, what he called. Because in Isaiah 55:11, it says, I got it. It says right here. In Isaiah 55:11, it says that his word will not come back to him void. Once he says a thing, it has to come to pass. And I'll put it on the screen so I can see exactly the scripture, because I'm just paraphrasing. But do God's way. Do it God's way. That's all I got. Do it his way. His way. It's gonna happen anyway. You might as well do it his way now instead of trying to do it your way and then realizing, oh, doing it my way is trash. Let me go ahead and do it God's way. Go ahead and do it his way. Because his word can't come back to him void. Once he says a thing, it has to be established in the earth. Trust the Lord, y'all. Trust the Lord. Anyway, that's all I have for this episode. That is the end of this episode on transition. I hope y'all got something from it. I hope y'all were pricked by it in some way. Again, don't forget, put it down in the comment section. Put in the comments your experience, how this episode has helped you, or maybe you have questions. Put it in the comment section below. Let's keep the dialogue going on transition from my journey. Now let's talk about your journey. That's it, all I have. Again, that's all I have, y'all. Just making sure I said everything I need to say in my notes. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got. That is the end of this episode. Remember, y'all, to jump on the train of Christ, because you do not want to miss what he has in store for you. I will see y'all in the next episode of our journey. Love y'all. See y'all. Bye.